Hello, friends. Welcome to day 2 of our mystic immersion, The Circle Unbroken, Rooted in Soul, Responding in Our World. Today's concept is foundational to having a great sense of alignment in self and to open to the knowing of what is called for in responding in our world. So if you remember, this week we're focusing entirely on being rooted in the soul. And to be rooted in the soul, while it is an experience, we support opening to that experience by reflecting on the concepts involved with that experience. That's why I always include reflections, not because I want your minds to be the way, but because I want your minds to be a support in the way. And today's theme is the silence beneath the noise. And I'm going to approach this from 2 angles. So very, very often with the people that I work with, and really when I'm out about anywhere, everyone talks about the noise, how crazy the world is with sound and noise on all sorts of superficial levels and on all sorts of disturbing levels. And oftentimes human beings recognize that getting really involved with that noise or being a part of that noise never seems to help in coming to a place of deep centeredness, peace, joy, happiness, freedom. That somehow being involved in all of that is not the way, and yet it's part of our reality. So this idea of the silence beneath the noise gives a sense of conceptual direction. Now, if we were to try to prove that it's under noise, we could have difficulties, because that's really a phrase that's pointing to a concept that is something we can grasp by way of its pointing to, and it will elude us slightly in being able to completely nail it down with the language that we don't yet quite have. But there is something, if you think about moments when you've dropped into a real stillness or a silence, I bet you can think of one moment where that happened and you became free of being impacted by the noise of this 3-dimensional world. And perhaps in that moment, you experienced losing all awareness of the sound of all the noises. Or perhaps it just simply existed all around you, but you were in a different place. See how these words are a bit elusive, but I think they do well to conjure up your thoughts to wrap itself around this. So with that, what are we talking about? What are we talking about when we're talking about a silence that is under or undergirds? I like the silence that is all things, from which all things and in which all things exist. That's my preference for a pointer. But sometimes saying it's under the noise, you could then imagine something with that. For instance, I take this box here and I'm hitting it. And you're hearing a sound, right? I hope you can hear a sound. You could become extremely aware of that sound and then position yourself with this open question: what's underneath that sound? precedes, holds. What is the sound coming from? You could do the same with my voice that you're hearing on this recording. This allows us to get a little bit of a positioning that can encourage and assist our surrender to the silence that is under the noise. Now, I want to give two bits of their quotes that are concept points. The first is that if you were to type into ChatGPT or anywhere online, and I actually got this from Deepak Chopra, I was watching one of his podcasts, what is the universe made up of? This is the answer you would get. Close to 70%. Deepak said 70, but one of the ChatGPT says 68% is dark energy. 27% is dark matter. And less than 5% is ordinary matter. Now, ordinary matter is what we most relate to in this universe. It's this body, it's the sound of this voice, it's the sunset that you can see the glow on my face. There's a sunset happening. It is the world in which we're operating in a structured way or in some kind of dependable way. Relatable way is probably a better word. And then 27% that's dark matter. That is matter that doesn't interact with light or other electromagnetic radiation. So it's invisible to telescopes, but we are sure of its existence through the study of science because it's inferred from the gravitational effects on visible matter and the rotation of galaxies. So there's certainty about this. Now I'm reading you a little bit of information. You can look it up to learn more about it. And then the large amount of what makes up the universe is what's called dark energy. And this is a mysterious force driving the universe's accelerating expansion, and it's seen as permeating all of space. Now, sometimes Deepak Chopra said this. He said, so the universe is made up of literally nothing that's measurable. And that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is that this force that is driving the accelerating expansion is something. Could that be the silence? And if that's so, then in my call to be rooted in soul, would it be most impactful for me? Would it be most helpful for me to open up into this dark energy? And what can be kind of scary about that, right, is we sometimes have the word dark used as bad or a threat or dangerous, destructive. But here that's not it. It's used as a contrast word, but it's not referring to that at all. And what if we were to take the idea of dark energy being the field of possibility, of potentiality, of abundance, of manifestation, of creation? Doesn't that change your feeling, that felt sense about dark energy? So being rooted in soul, then, if you were to apply this concept to be rooted in soul, would then be to open up more and more and more to the mysterious force of dark energy that makes up the universe. Wow. Isn't that something? So what you could do is, let's say there's a lot of fear around. In Americans, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of divisiveness. We've always had it, but there are ways that it's very heightened. What if you stood before the reality of that happening? And you could even create something of an image of it all happening. People talking back and forth, concepts flying, people being affected by everything that's going on. And you saw it there. And then you opened up to experience the dark energy. Again, this is not bad energy, the dark energy that is permeating all of it. And you chose then to abide in this mysterious force. What could be possible then? Now, the second reference to this comes from 15th century mystic John of the Cross. And now granted, now you've got to remember he's Christian, so his use of his language has a Trinitarian definition that it's masculine. It's from his era, it's from his time. I'm going to neutralize the language, but if you Google this quote, you're going to have the masculine, the Father and the Son. Just culture. So take the quote out of that enculturation. God spoke one word, and that one word is the divinity in form. He says the Son. You may want to say the child, the creation. This word God speaks in eternal silence, and in silence must it be heard. Now, I don't know about you, but isn't that saying the exact thing that science has pointed out? That there is a wording that's happening where? From the eternal in silence. And that somehow it's almost like the ordinary matter is the reverberating frequency that lets us experience something. Like when they say that when a star explodes, you don't see it right away. And when we do see it, finally with our telescopes or even our eyes, it happened so long ago. That vibration was set in motion. What if we could relate to reality that way, as a way of becoming rooted in our souls? It's a lot to reflect upon. So I hope that you will take today to reflect upon that and see how it opens you up to yourself on a soul level. And if you feel a little scared, it's okay. These take us into mysterious adventures and horizons. It's okay to feel a little scared when opening up. If these concepts are true, what does that mean about my reality? I mean, the impact is really life-changing. All right. So today's meditation, I want to get into the silence under the noise. So we're going to do a mantra. We've done it many times if you've been with me. Soham, which means I am that. I am that. We're going to open up to the experience of the soul, to the experience of the sounding that we are as being spoken by the eternal, that all creation is the silence under the noise, because dropping into the silence lets us experience that in all its fullness. And we're going to do it like we've done before. The so is on the in-breath, and you want the tongue to hit upon the roof of the mouth. So it's like so, ha, so, ha. And we'll have some pauses there. You'll know when to pause because I'll draw the syllable hum out. I am that. I am that. How can you open to the silence under the noise? I am that. I invite you to close your eyes. As we sit here, notice what noise you are sitting amidst, whether it's internal or external. If you haven't already done so, see if you can open to perceive on some level the silence that is permeating the space and is under or undergirds the noise. And to assist us in this, we begin our mantra, letting the focus be entirely, as much as you can, on the sound of the 2 syllables. Inviting in a breath and exhaling. And begin. So, ha. 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 And let the mantra continue. Be in the silence as much as you are able. And we begin again, inviting in a breath and exhale. Begin. So, ha. 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 So, come again into the silence that undergirds the sound. And we begin one final round, inviting in a breath. And exhale. Begin. So, ha, 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 so, 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 and we bring this contemplative practice to a close. I invite you to bring your palms together before your heart and open your eyes with namaste. Namaste, my friends. Now, if you're inclined, you could set your alarm to wake up in the middle of the night when the world is without the sunlight, and abide in that form of silence a little bit, because that darkness has a permeating quality to it. Yet it's a positive quality. If you're inclined, there's a little optional homework there. Blessings. Good to be with you.